Hello and welcome to the Football Influence, a show where we bring you exclusive insights and stories from the world of football as viewed by professionals within the industry. Welcome to episode 2. After our first episode and introduction, my name is Hashim. My co-host, as you can see here, is Louis again. And today we have a very special guest. We have a person who I've known as my colleague in the agency world, but you guys may know him from seeing him. If you're an Arsenal fan, you definitely will know him from his time playing at Arsenal and multiple other teams. But I want to welcome my esteemed guest, Fran Merida. Fran, how are you?
Hi guys, pleasure to be here. I'm good, all good.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show, Fran. We're really happy to get this episode going as our first guest on the show. So very excited to get this going, as I said. And yeah, I mean, great to be back to have a great conversation today. And yeah, I mean, Hashim, if you wanted to get us started with what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, perfect. So, Fran, look, firstly, thank you for coming on. Let's start from the beginning. For you, Fran, when you were growing up, who were your main influences? Let's say in general, not just in football, but in general, who did you aspire and look up to when you were young?
Look, we had a situation. I was grown in Barcelona, near the center of the city, in a small town, and I saw my parents really work hard to give my sister and I the best life they could. It wasn't an easy time for us, but we had everything that we needed. We were happy. We were happy at school. We played sports. We were in the streets. It was a different time in Spain. Life has changed a lot now that I am a father. But I would say my father and my mom, because as I said, I saw them really work hard to get us through all the phases in life, and they had time also for us, and that I think that's the most important thing as a father, is try to give your kids time, spend time with them, be there with them, because it's let's say easy to give them I don't know, a toy or whatever, but I think I had an inspiration with my mom and especially with my father, because he always was there for me and my sister.
Yeah, I think that really resonates. And I mean, I guess was football seen as that? I guess the solution to, obviously you said you played sports and you grew up with a very close family knit, and I think that's obviously so important.
Yeah.
Was football that action packed, I guess, routine and habit for you growing up?
Yeah, listen, I from what I can remember, I don't know if I was 3, 4, 5 years old. I had in my bed a ball with me. I took it to bed, So at that point in my life, it was all about football. I love watching games, listening the radio, the Sundays, with the commentators talking about all the games. I used to be like, all in my life was around football. Also, I I used to go to the streets and play football in there with my friends, with our neighbors. So at that moment in my life, it was all about football. I didn't think about anything else. It's just something I was born with, the passion of the game. I clicked from the beginning, and every time I played, I had this joy in me, that I didn't experience nothing similar in my life.
Yeah, I mean, they call him El Mago, and there's a reason for that, because when he used to play, he was a magician, and we want to go back to the early days, Fran, because Barcelona, to people around the world, one of the best academies, La Masia, producing amazing talent that usually either break into the first team at Barcelona or they go elsewhere. Your journey was not traditional for a lot of La Masia products, starting off in the youth system and then going abroad to England at Arsenal. In terms of what you noticed at La Masia, what was for you, the most standout feature of the academy there? What did you learn the most? What was the experience like?
I mean, you can imagine as a 8-year-old boy, I was playing with some friends in a small town club near our neighborhood. After a tournament that Espanyol, Barcelona, some clubs outside of Catalonia also were there. I don't know what happened, but they saw something and they started talking to my father. And for me, it was like I couldn't believe it. It's true that at that point, uh, let's say I was in the joy. I wasn't like thinking too much about the future. It was all about joy and going to school and say to my friends, "Hey, I'm gonna play for Barcelona." And it was more of that. After the 8 years I spent there, I learned a lot. The Barca way, guys. You couldn't like it was not allowed for the goalkeeper to kick the ball long. So our main focus was on technique, knowledge about using the space in the right way, 2 touches, and technique again. It was all about that. And apart from that, I remember many experiences, many friends. It was a like a present, for me. But yeah, the Barcelona way, they teach you from the early ages to play the way they want to play in the first team, basically.
Yeah, I think, and that really connects with, I mean, what we see nowadays still, and I think the power of the culture in Barcelona is huge, and it's interesting because, so as an Arsenal fan there up there, that's when I first obviously became aware of you, and I've been following Arsenal, my whole life. But it's interesting when you have this generation of players that and there was a huge generation out of La Masia that obviously adapted, and for you, I think what really stands out is that change that then prompted you to go to Arsenal. And I think obviously you spend a lot of years at Barcelona, you have that rigorous kind of habit of being around that environment. And how was that adjustment to English football, which at the time was like, I think, very different?
Well, yeah, it was. Basically, Arsenal had a very similar way of football in terms of Arsene wanted the team that play from the back. Yeah, that we will be able to combine. But of course, we were in the English football, so my main problem, let's say, was trying to adapt in the physical way because the pace was different, you had more contact, and that was my main goal. At the beginning, try to get stronger, quicker thinker because I had to think before someone came from the back and smashed me. So it was tough at the beginning, but I think I adapted really well, to be honest. My first months I was with the under 18 team, but I don't know how long it took me, but it was really quick. I made my debut with the reserves, and from that point on, I stayed there. And for me, it was more a challenge also in terms of adapting personally in the life, because you can imagine, guys, I was a 15 years old when I left Barcelona, and I went alone. My parents and my sister stayed in Barcelona, so that was my biggest challenge. Because in football terms, I knew probably at the beginning I would struggle a little bit, but I had faith in myself, and I had all the possibilities, in a club like Arsenal to, if I really wanted to improve and to learn so much as I did.
that must be very overwhelming. Was there anyone in particular that helped you adapt at Arsenal?
Yeah, I was lucky when I arrived there. Some Spanish players were there. You, of course, know them. Cesc Fabregas, Almunia. Also, Philip Senderos speaks Spanish probably better than me. So it was really helpful. All of them were, and also in the club, they were not with me, with the kids that we came at that age. I remember a few of them. Rui Fonte, Nasser Barazit, plenty of them. They came from different parts of Europe, and they were uh, trying to give all the facilities for us to adapt quick, because after you adapt in terms of the languages, because I didn't speak any English, sorry, you adapt in the city. After everything, it's easier because football, of course, you have a difference in the countries and in different clubs, but I think I think football it's easier to adapt because it's a world language, let's say. So so in the club,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was lucky. I had some Spanish players there that also were really near me at the beginning, especially.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree that when you make a transition early on in your life, it
Mhm.
makes the latter stages, the adjustment and the adaptation much more easy. And we'll touch obviously on some of the other moves that you made later on in your career. And I'm sure the adaptation was easier because of this experience at Arsenal.
100%.
But once Arsenal was done, back to Spain, Atletico Madrid.
Hmm.
Um, so in terms of, going back to Spain, uh, was that for you maybe a relief to go back home and be closer to family and everything?
Yeah, a little bit, to be honest. I was happy in London. London is an amazing city, but I think it was at some point in my life where I was not a man yet. I was still a kid. I think I had the chance to grow and mature a lot in London as a person. But to be honest, one of the main reasons I went back to Spain, in this case to Atletico Madrid, of course, is because in football wise, um, I was convinced that it was good for me, but also because I was going to be closer to my family, 100%. Yeah. Because-
And obviously, yeah, you go from Arsenal to Atletico Madrid, the gap in club is not different. You're going from one very big club to another. Obviously, in that period, Atletico Madrid, you had a few of the loans, Fran, to Real Sociedad and Braga.
Mhm.
Um, Now, a lot of players I know, for example, speaking to some, and I'm sure you've seen the experience, sometimes a loan can feel like maybe a backward step in your career because you feel like maybe I've not been able to really push through at my club, that I've needed to go find somewhere else to gain the experience. How did you mentally deal with, for example, thinking, I'm going out on loan to two different teams whilst being at the club?
Listen, at that point, Hashem, it was more of probably I was not a patient person. Okay, so as soon as I started to be around the first team with Arsenal, especially in training, I played some I played some games. So when I felt that, it was like I want to feel this, every week. I don't want to be sitting for 1 year. I'm young. I need to develop, and I thought that the best option for me is to go somewhere else because I always felt that training is really important, but when you play matches and you play for 3 points and you get into the battle, that's where when you really improve. That was my feeling. So I had the loan with La Sociedad, which I think it was positive. I was still 17 years old. Uh, I was not ready for professional football, probably, but I think it helped me a lot because it was my first dressing room, let's say, professional, and I played some games, and I had the experience feeling the pressure of a big city with a big club. and I think it was a good experience. After I went on loan also to Portugal later on, and in this case I had a really bad experience, because, and now you are going to understand me, especially Hassan, because when I arrived there, the coach didn't know me. So it was something made with my former agent and the club, and they didn't care about me, let's say, to be honest. That's why now as a colleagues, and that we don't do that 100%, because I'm always and I always talk to the people. How is it going as an agent and everything? And what I can say 100% is that I try to look for the players, because you can imagine a situation where you go to a new club, new country, and the coach doesn't know you. And my reaction was like, what did just happen here? I cannot believe this. And that's why today, as a former player and agent, I try to do the things right, and look for the guys. I think because I can emphasize, it's emphasize with them.
Yeah, no, it's very good. I mean, look, working with you, Fran, and being in the environment of ex-players, you understand as well in the agency world how important it is to advise players and how important it is to translate, like you said, your experiences and maybe the negative experiences you've had as a player that will benefit players a lot of the time when it comes to giving them advice on what to do in their career. So it's more valuable. For sure. And I know, Louis, you wanted to touch on, again, some of the international experiences with Fran.
Yeah, I think, and so, yeah, you just said you were 17 moving and you have an experience where, yeah, the coach doesn't know you, you have to adapt again. I think, yeah, I mean, so being exposed to that, and obviously you've already made huge efforts, obviously done Arsenal, coming back to Spain, and then, as you honestly say, the fact that you're exposed to first team environments, it kind of got you asking questions about your situation. How did you bounce back from that as a young player, wanting to obviously be in a first team?
Yeah.
What's your motivation then, trying to get better from that?
To be honest, on my situation, what happened was that after that situation in Portugal, I went back to Atletico, but it was not the same. I didn't have the club changed the sporting director. They changed some pieces in the club, and they wanted to bring the new players, which is I totally understand. And it was not easy. And after that, all started in Portugal. I started to feel not happy about this environment, and I had a couple of years where I was lost mentally. I was, I didn't know at the time how to manage it and how to come back, bounce back. And after that, I had probably, I am a person that thinks that sometimes you need some situations to happen in your life. And if you are clever enough, you can take advantage for the future. And I had my worst professional moment. I was 7 months without a club. I was trying to call many doors, and they were all closed, which I understand. But it was tough moment, And at that point, that's when I realized I needed to change my mentality, to be stronger, to fight. I even thought about giving up, and set a life out of football. But thank God I didn't, because I bounced back, and then I had, let's say, my last 8-10 years of career. I would say uh, I really enjoyed that more than the beginning, because I was more mature, and I needed that, probably that moment, to understand some situations in life, and to give to myself a stronger mentality.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and I think that, I mean, that's already something huge when ex-players and people around it talk about the mental state, because it's huge. The motivation comes from you, obviously, and if you have been dealt difficult situations, as you say, you have to bounce back in your own way. And I think that's very powerful. And I wanted to touch on something based on that, because you mentioned the last 8 to 10 years where you get more regular playing time, obviously more regular situations within clubs. I want to talk about that period in Brazil,
Yeah.
how that happened, and how you reacted to it, basically.
Well, Brazil was in that moment where I was a little bit lost, let's say. After Atletico, I went to play in Alicante in Hercules. Um, it's a quite a good club in Spain, but let's say it's not organized well, or it wasn't organized well at that moment. Uh, many problems inside the club, and after that, I felt like I wasn't in love with football anymore. I lost the joy a little bit, and to be honest, because of my mentality at that moment, Brazil came with a big offer, and I didn't think about anything else about the money. It wasn't a good choice for me, uh, because I made the decision not calm. I don't know the word.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are.
No,
We
but yeah.
understand.
I wasn't calm when I made the decision. I was, angry with everybody, with myself. So I said, okay, I leave. Um, and I also learned about that for the future, that it's not intelligent to make big decisions when you're not calm enough. And yeah, I was there for 18 months. And after that, that's when I was 6, 7 months without a club. Um, as I told you guys before, probably it's what I needed for me, to grow up, to understand that you could be crying around everywhere, but you need to get moving, stand up, and fight again. That's what life is about. I think it's impossible to be always in here, in professional terms, in personal terms. You have always ups and downs, and that period, we need to understand that.
Yeah, I think, when you see your career, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid playing at this level, and then you feel like, okay, I go Hercules, then maybe Brazil. Sometimes you feel, where am I right now? Where was I and where am I now? Like, it's sometimes very difficult. And, you briefly mentioned it as well. As players, you face a lot of setbacks in your career from the early ages when maybe you get released from your academy, or you don't get accepted to go into, the certain team you aspire to be in, or injuries. So you're constantly faced from early stages, and, people paint the picture you guys have a life of luxury, you guys are comfortable, but this mental battle that you're constantly in at different stages in your life, you really epitomize it in your journey, Fran, and the ability to then come back and enjoy your career again after these setbacks. And I wanted to talk to you because, you mentioned with me, we've spoken before, how those last few years of your career were the most enjoyable, and your favorite period, and the period you felt most, enjoyment out of being a footballer was Osasuna. Um, and I know how close it is as a team to your heart. So explain to me the emotion of that feeling, how when it started off, and those few years being there, and the joy you connected with the club in.
Yeah, it was probably because I was uh, mentally in my best moment. Excuse me, Hassan, I'm going to go back a little bit. We were talking about the academy. What did I learn in Barcelona? If I had to do it again, 100%, I will work on my mental strength from as a kid, because it's important to be technically good, physically good. But I think without your mental strength, it's so difficult to make it and to be there for many years, because of the many things you just said. And let's say in my second part of my career, uh, I I had this connection from the beginning with Osasuna. I have to say that also this happened because Huesca gave me the chance when probably no one else were were going to give me a chance at that moment. At that moment, sorry. And I had in Huesca a year and a half, very very important. I had a coach in Spain. It's very famous. His name is Ankela. That we used to have a father-son relation. He used to be on me every day. Even we sometimes we discuss it a little bit, you know, in a good way. And after that, I don't know what happened when I came here. Um, the dressing room. After 3 days, I felt like I was here for 3 years. You know, all the people was trying to make me feel good. Pamplona, it's a small city of Spain compared to others, but how can I say? If you go to other cities in Spain, they like Madrid or Barcelona, and then it's not no club. It happens so, but in Pamplona, they are Osasuna fans. They love the club, and also it's very similar to England, you know, because the type of football, the style of football is similar, and the people it's so passionate about the team, but they also respect you in the streets. You know, they're not going to be on you. They see you in a restaurant, they're gonna leave you eat, and then maybe ask for a photo or whatever. It's a very very UK mentality, and I had a connection from the beginning, and I felt, you know, like this is where I want to be for many years for sure.
I think, and I mean, when you look at, as you say, the cultural element of the club, and you say that obviously you would have going back, you worked on your mental state and everything, but having that relationship rebuilt, and you said obviously, you know, Huesca gave you the chance when you were maybe at your lowest, as you said, and how refreshing was that, as you mentioned, with the manager to really connect and just feel the general nature of his good intentions with you and just the connection there. How much of an impact did that have on you?
Yeah, it was huge for me, you know. I remember a chat before a game. Uh, I think I remember the game. It was against Almeria in the second division in Spain, and he said in front of all the team, defensively we're gonna play like this, and then when we get the ball, he went 1-to-1 to all the defenders, and he said, "Who you gonna give the ball?" And they had to say Fran. So it was that huge, you know. And if you don't give the ball to Fran, you go to the dressing room. So please give the ball to Fran. That was the attack. So
Wow.
why do I explain this? Because I want you to understand, guys, how huge it was for me. Uh, that first I was a bit shy because I was thinking my teammates are going to hate me, but no, it was totally the opposite. And but also when you analyze after many many years passed, I analyzed this situation and how confident you are to go into the game. It's impossible you don't play good. I I had the responsibility to give my best, no, because he was giving me the keys for the attack in our team, you know. So for a player, this is how huge it was. Also, it was hard on me in training because he could push me. But yeah, I have great respect for Ankela, and I had a really good time with him and with my teammates in West 100%.
Yeah, Fran, you know, you've played under many different managers, and we'll go into the last stage after. But for you, what type of manager got the best out of you? You briefly mentioned with Ankela what he was like, in terms of like a father figure, where he almost put his arm around you and guided you through. You know, you've had very different personalities and managers throughout your career. Arsene Wenger, for example, who was, you know, a very dominating manager. You know, his prestige was so high at the club when you came in, and very well respected everywhere. Um, what did you feel got the best out of you?
I mean, I had different stages with different managers. So obviously, I had good moments and bad moments. Um yeah, I think if I have to choose one, I'm not going to be fair with a lot of them. But um, Ankela, why do I say Ankela? Because it was an important moment of my career. After being 6 months without a club, I came back, and it was like a big chance, because if you come back and you don't perform, probably at 28 you're forgotten and you're out. So because of the moment, I really needed to make an impact, uh, to make everybody that was not having the belief that I could still play, and I did, and of course, um, I really worked hard on that at that moment, especially in all of my body, my mind. I was focused 100%, but also I think I was really lucky to be around those and the managers. So I would say Ankela, of course. I had the privilege to work with Arsene. Uh, every time I saw him, I was so intimidating, because, of course, he was a legend already in the club and in English football. But he was always very near to me. It always impressed me how calm he always talked to you, even in the dressing room before a game. You looked always so calm and so confident, and and he gave a lot of young players the chance to make the debut with a club like Arsenal, which I will always be grateful, because I think he opened the door of football for me, and I think 100% that he helped me a lot to become a professional football player. 100%.
Yeah, I think that really resonates. I think I want to take it back also to the other side of football, which obviously, especially when you're going through the ranks and when you're a younger player, it's obviously national teams. I actually work with youth national teams with the FA, so every time there's a camp, I look after the visiting nations. So I haven't done Spain yet, but the time will probably come when that happens, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to just take it back and so I mean you went through Spain under 17s, 19s, 21s at that stage obviously because you were in between Barcelona, but then that was a time you were at Arsenal and then moving on to Sociedad as well. So how did that exposure come and how did you find those moments where you were playing with other players your age, especially with the national team? What was that feeling?
Yes, it was the best feeling, man. Um, like every time we used to go for a training camp, or especially in tournaments, it was so special, because we spent many days together in the hotel. Apart from the time where you go to train and the time before the game, but we traveled so many countries. We played so many tournaments, Europeans, World Cups. Now when I look back, I I am really grateful about that, because he also gave me the chance to, in a short age, to play in a stage where you have hundreds of thousands of eyes from the football world. And I think that also, for the young kids, it gives you, um, it opens doors for you, because you have many clubs looking in these games. And also, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't feeling that pressure when I played there. Maybe that I felt older in some clubs. It was really a really happy moment.
International level is always, it feels like a big step for a player, even at youth level, um, and you're playing with the best players in the country at the end of the day of your age group, so you've done something right to be playing at that level. So who are, like, for example, the most, when maybe for example, we may know lots of players now that have reached a certain level that have become really good, but maybe at those levels, who are some of the best players you've seen talent wise, um, especially international level for Spain?
Well, in my age, only some. I played with Bojan Kirkic, the striker for Barcelona. I also played with Stoke City. I played with David De Gea, course, you know him, and some of them, Camacho played for Malaga, also played in Bundesliga. Look, and you know who was there at that moment? Nacho from Real Madrid.
Mm.
We had a really good team. Also, Joselu from Real Madrid. We had quite a good team. I'm forgetting some, so excuse. I hope they excuse me. But yeah, I think at that moment, uh, as you said, when you are there, all of the players they have the qualities to become a football player, but it's so hard to become a professional player. How many kids from Spain, in this case, play football? Millions of millions, and a lot of them have quality. I think at the end of the day, I think you need to be, let's say, a little bit lucky in terms of you need to be in the right place at the right moment, but also you need to be ready. If you're not ready, you're not gonna make it. And I could tell you a few of them. But yeah, we had a really good team. We had a really good time, and you know, I have some images coming to my mind right now. We had fun. We really enjoyed it, and we played some Europeans. We played a couple of World Cups. We beat England in the European under 17 in Belgium. Sorry,
Typical Spain. Spain
sorry,
used to beating England.
sorry. I had to say it. So sorry.
Of course.
But yeah, it was a really really good time, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously seen it with the players, and even starting with under 15s, they feel the pride of the nation, and the families also, get involved and come and watch the players, I think. And based on obviously, that experience, I think, as you even mentioned right now, the memories you make from that, and the moments you cherish. And I think based on that, and then obviously you went on to move a lot and transition to many different cultures and different regions. And at that young age, what were the things that really stood out to you? Because you were used to Barcelona, then obviously Arsenal, then back to Spain, but then playing with a national team, you were also traveling a lot and discovering new countries and cultures. What were the things that I guess really opened your eyes about the different cultures around football?
Well, I at the time it was not that easy to get to know the countries because we were in the hotel, like focused on football. But yeah, always you found a time where you can go and walk around the city a little bit. It helped me a lot that at that point I already I could speak English, which helped me a lot in my life. I traveled with my wife now and my girls, and um, it gives you um, the the facility to talk to uh, everybody in the world, probably in all countries, which I think it's so important. And at that moment, you know, to be honest, I didn't have the focus on getting to know Prague or I don't know or Portugal. I was more focused on enjoying playing football. Uh, but yeah, it was nice, to go to Belgium and play a European Championship with all the countries. As you said, Louis, the pride that gave me to see my parents in the stands, coming from the neighborhood to I could see they were proud of me, and that gave me a lot of love to myself in terms of from the family. So I tried to make them happy also. They traveled a lot with me. My sister also did, and it was a proud moment. But I couldn't tell you, um, to be honest, that I really get to know, or I did get to know the countries. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, obviously, like you said, when you travel with teams, it's tough to get to know places. But you're one of the very few players, Fran, that I know as well. You played in the three main continents of football. You've played in South America, you've played in Europe, and you've played finally at the end of your career in China, in Asia. So that's, three very different places to understand football and to adjust to, you know, time zones as well. Like you said, you're very close with your family, your sister, and then they have to adjust to firstly Brazilian time zone, then you had to make them adjust to China time zone, and COVID as well. So you don't make it easy for the family, right?
Yeah,
But
from an early age, I don't make it easy. Yeah.
yeah. But obviously playing in China, especially during the Corona period and you know, one of the toughest times to ever play in China. I know obviously that made the adjustment even tougher, you know, at that period of time. But in terms of playing in China, understanding a whole nother culture to what you were used to, um, that was obviously at a very mature stage in your career. You know, you've experienced everything up to that point. What further learning did you feel you needed to do when you arrived and adjusting?
I mean, my biggest challenge was adapting to their culture. Um, I tried at the beginning to get to know the language, but it was so difficult. We had in the team a couple of people that help us in terms of the language because it's impossible to understand. I can say a few words, but it's so difficult. Um, you know, when I went to China, my biggest challenge was to try to that when I left, that the team was that I could feel that the team grown up because when I arrived there, Tianjin was a club that was struggling to get in the first league the last couple of years. I think in the last games they just got the points to stay in the league, and the club told me that with of course some other foreigners, we we wanted to improve the and fight for the positions. Let's say from the middle table to the first positions, and I tried to because I was already 32 years old. I was more mature. I was a father. I have a different life. I wanted to try, especially with the young Chinese players, try to help them in the pitch, talk to them. You know, with all the experiences that we've talked, uh, try to be a person that they could ask anything about life, about football. And it was not easy, you know, and COVID didn't help it because we were each of us in an hotel room most of the day. We couldn't get out, especially the first months, and it was tough. Uh, I did really enjoy football in China. Obviously, China has a lot to improve in terms of. I think Chinese players are quick, are fast, are strong. Technically, you can see some interesting players, but I think the way they are developing the young kids, they don't let them make decisions. In football, on my opinion, you need to be ready to make a decision or change a decision because football is so fast that you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna get the ball and play left, but then when you see, maybe it's better to change. And in China, because of the philosophy in general in life, um, they tell them go left, go right, go left, go right. What happens when they grow up? They are not able to make their own decisions on the pitch. And I think if they improve that, I think they would be fighting in Asia for with the big countries, like Japan. I think for me now the Japanese league is the top league in Asia. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
I enjoyed. I enjoyed. Also, it was a stage in my career where I felt it was my last years, and I had. I'm not gonna lie, I had a good offer, economic, and I thought,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is maybe my last big contract, so I have to take it and try to enjoy the country, the football, and get another experience on my back.
Mm. I think it's really interesting what you mentioned there about your role within the team. Obviously, you enjoyed the football, which obviously is very important,
Mhm,
especially towards the end. And you talked about how you wanted to maybe be a role model to the young Chinese players that were involved in the club.
mhm.
Is that, I think that transitions as well into this next part. Is that something that you developed at the end of the career where you felt that you could transmit knowledge and help other players, especially the younger generation?
Yeah, 100%. I only when I was from 27, 28, I already had a few experiences, and I felt mature enough to talk to the young players. Uh, Sometimes it's not easy because, and I totally understand because I was before a young kid, and at that age it's difficult to listen. But I always try to say the same. I'm not saying this because I'm clever than you or whatever. It's because I make this mistake doing the same things that you are doing. So please, if you could change this, you're gonna in the future you're gonna tell me you were right. Sometimes it's difficult. It happens to us now, Hassem. Hassem can tell you, Louis, that we talk to young players, trying to give the best advice, not because we are more clever than them. It's because we already made that mistake, you know. And that's the advantage of becoming older a little bit, you know, in this case. So yeah, I did try to help the young kids. I always felt that when I was a young boy, many players helped me. So I tried to do the same.
Mm. And now, obviously, we move to the final stage, and that's the post-retirement and the role we're in now, where we've known each other since we met, and being very close since we're the only two main English speakers. The rest they try, but
Well, you are the
the
only
main.
English speaker. Then
No, as you
next
can
to
see,
you,
we've
it's
done
it's
we've
me,
done
it's
we've
Raul.
nearly done an hour now, and no struggles, so it's going well. Um, but yeah, so obviously with Antonio, that was I'm sure a big motivating factor for you wanting to transition into the agency world. But I want to take it maybe back to the decision to to think about becoming an agent.
Yeah.
Um, and the transition of working from retiring as a footballer to finding some work after your career. Firstly, obviously, I know for every player, and from what I've been hearing, that's the scariest part is the retirement, because it's the whole entire change to your life, the routine. You're going into the unknown. At the end of the day, you've been so used to a certain lifestyle and a certain career that now you're going into doing your own thing outside of it. How was that for you? Let's take it at that stage. How was that maybe transition like for you?
I mean, in my case, I think I made the decision in the right moment because I was playing in my last months in Lugo, club that plays in the third league in Spain. But I wasn't feeling it, you know. I wasn't feeling happy. I wasn't enjoying training. I even remember playing in the game, and in the middle of the game, I was thinking maybe it's time to make a step to the side, you know. Uh, to be honest, when I was younger, I was really scared about thinking about retiring because when you are a footballer, you know, your club organizes everything. Tomorrow training 9 o'clock, Friday travel, Saturday game, Sunday come back, Tuesday free, Wednesday training. So you have your life organized. Then you have 3 weeks off in the summer. So you don't have to think about many things because you have a schedule, you know. But then, to be honest, after I retired, I'm so happy. I'm trying to find different things in life. I go to school every day to pick up and take my girls. I try to spend time with them, with my family. Also, on this new stage with Antonio, as you mentioned, Hassan, it's been challenging because I knew it was not going to be easy, but I think I'm learning a lot. You know how we work. I think we are people that we look for the players 100%. We try to give our best. We try to take care of them, and I'm really enjoying it. You know, I still have the chance to travel sometime. Um, I'm still in touch with football, and in general, I think I'm a happy person. And if you asked me this question a few years ago, probably my answer would have been I'm so scared. I'm so scared to think about this situation, you know. But to be honest, I'm happy. I don't miss playing football, and I think this is because it was the right time for me to get to the side a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's positive to hear. I think because you hear it as well from other former pros that really struggle and take, you know, a few years to adapt to the new lifestyle. And because you mentioned, I mean, yeah, your whole life is planned out for you. You don't
Mhm.
have to think about anything. It's all planned out. And I think, yeah, once the I guess the enjoyment factor removes itself, that's where you make the decision. And well, to know that you were able to control that and to know which decision to make is really, I think that's really an advantage compared to other players and other former pros. And so was that always, because obviously, you know, we talk about the end and that question, was agency always the way for you? Did you
No,
have maybe ambitions?
no. To be honest, I always knew that my first option would be to find somewhere around football or in football because you know I didn't do anything else in my life. You know, I was around football clubs all my life. I love the game. I think I can see some games and I can understand some situations because of many experiences. But you know, the last few years of my career, you know, Antonio, my boss now, was my agent before. You know, so he already said to me a couple of times, "Hey, Fran, think about it. When you retire in the future, what do you think about this?" And I start thinking, okay, maybe I'll give it a shot. And and I have to be really grateful to him because I didn't have the time to think about what to do. You know, I just stopped playing. I had a couple of months of summer, which I didn't do anything else other than drinking beer and enjoy my family. And then I was already focused on the agency, you know. So I also think I was really lucky because I had the chance from the before I retired, which is something I will be grateful to Antonio, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, like we said, having, you know, the team now we have as well, lots of previous football experience, I'm sure that makes the culture very easy for you to come into because at the end of the day, like you were describing, your own experiences shape what you wanted to do now in after your career, and having so many people with the same outlook as you in the agency, I'm sure that made the transition a lot more easy. In terms of now, where you see, for example, your skill sets and how you benefit players, what do you usually, I know you've had, exactly like you said, vast experience all over the world, but what are some of the things you pick up maybe in the new generations that you think are a bit different from your generation when you were younger?
And it has changed so much. I think younger players are more prepared because they already work as a young age with mental professionals. They take care of their body from day one. I remember we didn't have that much. It was a different period in general in football. We used to eat good, but we didn't care too much about food. Right now, you have everything uh, calculated to be, you know, at your best physically. And I think the boys today are more prepared. Uh, and as I told you before, Hassan, what we try to do, and in this case, what I try to do with the players is to give them the truth because I think uh, the players deserve to know what's happening around. You know, we are talking on their names, and we have many decisions in the future, and the minimum we have to do is to be clear to them. But also, that means that sometimes we have to tell them some situations that they are not going to like. To have tough conversations. I think it's so important. And I think when you do that, they get the respect from you. Know, it's easy for me in this case to tell any player, "Oh, you're really good," or "Everything is fine." When I feel I have to say, of course, I will say, but also uh, I know it's tough, but it's important to tell them. I think you're going the wrong way on this, and we need to change that. And that's what I try to do. What I learned from Antonio, what I learned from you guys, and what I'm trying to improve. I have the facility, as I said before, that from day one the doors were open from Antonio, and after I found a team that it's really easy to work with. Yeah, I'm trying to improve, to enjoy, and to enjoy the ride. I think that's the most important thing in life, whatever you do.
Yeah. I think it's interesting also because you talked about the story of, when you went to Braga and how that kind of fell through and how the situation impacted you in a negative way. Now that you're in the opposite direction in a way of obviously working as an agent and contacting players and being involved with deals, how do experiences like that bring you I guess even the satisfaction of being able to control those moments better for other players?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, this situation was a big impact for me personally, and I think I can use these situations now, not to make the same mistakes, and and that's why I'm here. Of course, uh, we're not gonna lie. Our time, the time we work, we wanna receive back money because our time it's important for everybody. If I have to make money, uh, not taking care of some player, I don't want that. I would be out straight away. I'm not here to lie to the players. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best agent in the world, that's for sure. But my intentions are the best with them, that's for sure. Because one of the things that we say in our agency is that we try and we sleep well at night because we give everything that we can. Probably we are not the best agency in the world. You could see bigger agencies around the world, whatever. But I'm really proud of the way we work and the way we try to do things, and we're trying to grow up as a team as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you agree, Hassan, with what I said?
Of course. I mean, ever since Fran's come in, it's made my life a lot easier as well.
Yeah.
Having someone
Yeah.
to
Sometimes yes, sometimes maybe.
and I honestly say this, Fran, also just as a person who knows Fran, and for anyone who's never met him, Fran is also one of the most down to earth, humble people that I've ever met and worked with. And especially in this agency world, to have someone you always trust, to be open with and to collaborate with is very rare, because you mentioned as well, but a lot of agents have a bad reputation, some deservedly so, and some not so much. But the important thing is having the openness and trust with people and who you work with. And with Fran, from the first moment, it was like it was like a friend. It was like someone for a long time. And I think anyone who knows him and gets to know him understands that real nature that he has within him, and what sort of what person he is. He's very real, and I'm sure the experiences you've had, Fran, in your career have given you that realness of being a genuine person, and as you said, wanting to help um, players within their career. So it's very fascinating to know, really.
Thanks.
Um, but yeah, I think overall it's been an amazing podcast. We're trying to end now with a few interesting questions that maybe could really stand out for some people. So Fran, let's say one player, the best player that you've played with in your career, talent wise, maybe not the biggest name to some people, but the best one you've seen.
It's a tough one. I'm gonna say Kun Agüero. I played with him in Atletico Madrid. Of course,
It's not bad.
I played with
Good
Fabregas.
name, yeah.
There are many, many spectacular players. Van Persie, Rosicky. The list could be long. But the pure talent, that impressed me the most was Flower. He was 18 years old, playing in a huge club in Spain, and it was like for him, like if he was playing with their friends in the streets. It was so simple for him, and I feel I would say what yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great name. Obviously, Premier League legend, and I mean, went on to do amazing things. And touching on what you were saying before with your obviously your experience with the agency. Before we wrap up, I think that for our viewers and listeners that want to get into that agency world, that want to at least understand it better, I think that it's so important to know what goes on, especially on a personal level, and that's what we're trying to do, especially with this show. But I think that really highlights it because people just, if they stay on the top level, they'll see and read stories of the big deals or the big names, but it's so much deeper than that, and it goes in such a more personal level, especially with the work that you've been doing, for example, Fran. And I think that that's a really important message to send.
At the end of the day, Louis, excuse me. At the end of the day, we think that footballers live in a different world, or whatever. People like everybody else, with feelings, with days, bad days, with bad situation at home. And I think if you're able to understand that and treat people like what they are, people, uh, it's easier for you to get along in life in general. Sometimes it happened to me as a younger kid that I used to see some players and think, "Oh my God, like, they are from another world." But at the end of the day, after many many years, what you see is that the president of Spain has also bad days and cries in the car sometimes, even though he's the president of Spain and probably has all the facilities in the world, but he's a person like you and me. So I think that's a good
Absolutely.
message to send. Try to be simple, try to do your things right, to be a real person. Of course, I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be perfect, but at the end, try to do things with good intention. That's the most important thing for me.
Yeah, I think I
Absolutely.
really resonate with that. And so to round off, this is going to be our trademark question for the shows. If you could speak to your 18-year-old, 17-year-old, 16-year-old self, if you were in front of him right now and you touched upon certain elements, what would you say to that 18-year-old Fran? What would your main bit of advice be for him?
Work on your mental health, go more to the gym, and eat better. Because at that moment, I didn't have in my mind. I thought that I was technically good and I was fit. Obviously, it's impossible not to be fit in these stages in a club like Arsenal. But uh, it was difficult for me to get into the gym. I didn't like it. I was used to play in the streets, always with the ball, and it was difficult for me to understand. Thank God I did understand that later in my career. But yeah, if I could start again and tell the 18-year-old boy, I would tell him to go to the gym, to to eat better, and to work on your mental strength 100%. These three things.
Three very, very important things, really. And I'm sure, hopefully, any young players listening can really, really look at your story, Fran, and everything you've shared, and really use it, because that's the role we're in. Like you said, we're here to always help the players that are currently playing, and I'm sure everything that you've transmitted today was amazing, and hopefully some people can really pick it up. So yeah, we're approaching an hour now. It was an amazing episode, Fran. First one that we bring on with guests. So we're very grateful to bring you on.
I really appreciate to be the first one myself. It's a special honor for me, and thank you guys. It was a good chat. I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy that I will say that I was the first one. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we're very happy to have made this episode with you, Fran. And yeah, so that wraps up episode 2 for us. It's been a great conversation, really interesting stories about your path and your stories as well with your career. So we'll see you guys in episode 3 with another great guest lined up. But this was the Football Influence. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you, guys.